ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza. Ngimbiza kumagumbi amanawo omhlaba. We mama, we baba, yamamkhulu, we gogo. Ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza. Ngimbiza kumagumbi amanawo omhlaba. We mama, we baba, we mkhulu, we gogo. Hello again, Cupid. I am back. I came back. I have a moderator. Jocelyn, please show yourselves. I have a moderator so we can have a conversation. Thokozeni Royals, Thokozeni Hotep, Ninjani, Thokozani Kamagwini, Lesedihanya, Tobe, Landa, Ueshewe, Kwaziwai, Muribwanji, Nangadev, Habarigani, Avshen. So, family, I'm back. I come back. I'm back because I am feeling energized and I feel like I'm okay. Let me get Jocelyn on here so I can make Jocelyn. Let's make Jocelyn. Jocelyn, I know you don't want to come here to talk, but I'm going to. How do I make you? Let me make you a moderator. I've got to figure out how that works. So family, the reason I'm back here is I'm back here for questions. I'm back here for question time. Try not to make your questions controversial, please, because try not to make your questions controversial. We are, hey, Jocelyn, what am I going to do? How do I normally do this? Jocelyn, how do I make you into a moderator? This is Jocelyn. So, no, that's gifts. Okay, so family, this is open for questions. Anyone with any questions regarding African spirituality, please do not give me your dreams. I don't do dream interpretation outside of a context of consultation. So don't ask me to interpret a dream. I'm simply here to answer any questions that you may have had, any questions you may have from the teachings that I've done here or on the YouTube streets. You are most welcome to ask your questions. If you are amicable, you can ask to be invited on, and you can ask your question that way, or you can type your question in the chat and hopefully I won't miss it and I will be able to answer. So anyone who wants to come on, just, request, and then you can come on and you can ask your question, or you can type your question down here in the comments. Yo, mom. Oh, baba. Oh, mkhulu, gogo. Ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza mna, ngiyathemeleza. I am not seeing any. Oh, here's a question. Togozan, may you please explain the concept of maternal and paternal ancestors fighting over you? Okay. Let me start by saying this. So you have your maternal ancestors, you have your paternal ancestors, right? Everybody has those. There are particular situations where there can be a tug of war over your life in terms of who not has control, but who takes precedent over your life, whether you're maternal or paternal. What are the circumstances under which this happens? If, for example, you are conceived, you are born, and your father does not acknowledge you as his child, he says that is not his pregnancy, and he disappears off the scene, and you grow up with your maternal side, then your maternal ancestors, I'm not talking about the people who are still alive, but your maternal ancestors can get very protective over you because by I can say ancestral law, because I don't know what else to call this. By ancestral law, your paternal ancestors have no rights over you based on the things that your father or your paternal side who are living didn't do. So, for example, in this is across many African traditions, when a girl becomes pregnant by a man, several things happen. Number one, he has to pay inhlawulo, which is damages. Then number two, he has to then, after he's paid damages to the girl's family, he has then to, what is to lobola the child? He has to do certain rituals to bring that child under his surname. That is an acknowledgement. I think that is more an acknowledgement of the fact that you as a man are taking responsibility for the fact that you fathered a child with said girl. A failure to do that, so you hit and run. Your ancestors will forfeit the right to have any precedent over this child's life because your maternal ancestors get very protective and sometimes they are very upset. Remember, ancestors have human bias. I remember somebody once said to me, yeah, but spirits don't get angry. Spirits are just spirits. It doesn't work like that. We're talking about ancestors. They have human bias. I'm not talking about all other spirits. I'm talking about your ancestors who once lived on this planet in human blood. So yes, what we do here when it comes to children affects these children eventually, because when you have a paternal side at war with the maternal side because of wrongdoings that we have done or things that we have omitted to do, that then affects that child's life. Most of the children who have this warring going on, their lives don't really proceed. It doesn't happen with everybody. In some cases, there's no tug of war because the paternal ancestors will bow out in acknowledgement of the fact that their child messed up. It becomes a problem if that child is ancestrally gifted and the gift comes from the father's side. Because then the father's side are like, yeah, but we have this gift. She was born with this because this thing is in your DNA. Now comes a time where push comes to shove, things need to be fixed. You then go to a healer or somebody to assist you and they say, you cannot start your Intwaso journey. You cannot start your initiation journey until we can align these ancestors, meaning your father's side has to do the right thing. This is where a lot of young people get stuck, and it breaks my heart that this thing happens this way. And sometimes you don't know your paternal side to go to say, can you come and fix X, Y, and Z? And sometimes the paternal side shows up, but then your uncles and even your own mom will send them packing and say, now you want to come here and do this. She's 25 years old. Where have you been all along? Get out. Sometimes the poor child is the one who goes looking and searching for that paternal side because she or he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. When that gift starts manifesting and calling, it can be miserable. So it's usually that child who then has to go and they'll find the father's side and they'll say, your father is now gone. But since your father is gone and he didn't tell us about you or he didn't fix your things for you, we as the paternal side, we can't do anything for you. There goes the child now stuck. Or meet the father and the father says, I want nothing to do with any of this. I don't believe in sangomas. I don't believe in all these Sintu things. So no, there's nothing I can do. And the child is stuck. That is why a lot of the times I speak to parents, because there are a lot of mistakes that we are making and the sins of us, our wrongdoings are visited upon our children. Whether we like it or not, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I hope I have answered your question. Somebody requested. Let me see if she's still there. Togoza, Aliyah.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
First, I just want to say I started watching you last year, and oh my God, I've watched so many of your videos, but I'll be quick. So, I would like to know, I remember in one of your videos you said about setting up an altar for like the ancestors. I live in an apartment. So, what's something that I could do to like still set up an altar for them if I can? And I would like to know if I don't really know or had a connection with my ancestors that have passed on, is that like appropriate to do?
Okay, so that's a good question. And I think I have addressed it in the Ancestor series, but I will just do very brief summary for you. You can venerate your ancestors in an apartment, but remember that that space is not yours. That apartment is owned by somebody else. And I have explained that when it comes, ownership is very important in the ancestral realm. When you set up an altar, you are inviting your ancestors to come and stay with you. But if that is not a place you own, like it's not your own home, it is not advisable to do that. However, you are able to set up a temporary veneration space. So, for example, I want to venerate my ancestors tonight and I'm in an apartment. I can find a corner, set up my candles, cleanse that space first, set up my candles, my water, all your 4 elements, just have them there, and then have a conversation with my ancestors. When I'm done, I dismantle that. Why do I dismantle it and put my candles and everything away? Because I don't want to set up an altar in a space that's not mine and possibly invite ancestors that are not mine to come and sit in that space. That can become really, really problematic. Because the person who owns your house or the place you're renting from, that space in a way belongs to their ancestors. So like when you own your home, that's your ancestors' home because you are your ancestors, so to speak. So you are welcome to then set up a permanent place for them where, it is known that that is their space, after doing all the rituals of cleansing and everything and making sure the space is always clean so that you don't invite imposter spirits, especially when you do a food offering and stuff like that. So can you venerate your ancestors in an apartment? Yes. Can you set up an altar in an apartment space? No. You can't do it indoors. You can't do it in the yard because it's not your ancestor's space. When you get your own home, yes, definitely you can set up as an altar in your home. And even more, if you've got a yard, you can set up a little altar outside. Most ancestral altars back then in ancient times were not within the homes that we lived. They were always outside the home, either in a special house outside, like a special room outside the house, or a special space. Maybe you create some rocks and you put whatever it is you put, or a tree, a special tree. That is where that ancestral altar would be. Ne? Does that make sense?
Yes.
It was. I'm glad I was able to help. And thank you for supporting. Thank you for watching. I hope it's helping, and I hope you're growing, and I hope you are,
Very
elevating.
much so. Like, you like changed me. So
So happy to hear it. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Night. Bye, Leah. Anyone else with any questions? Let me see. I'm not seeing. Etinkanyezi Kumal. Okay, somebody. Try searching for a book called White Poison. Why? How do you use the Bible? Wow, we know it is. Nkanyezi, my namesake, Nkanyezi. Here in this space here, we don't use Bible at all. We don't use Bible. Guys, please tap the screen just so that I can see whether you're hearing me, because sometimes I freeze. Here we go. Nkanyezi, are you still here? Nkanyezi, here in this space, we are totally decolonized. You know what that means? We don't do Bible. We don't do Bible. We don't touch Bible. We don't talk Bible. We don't open Bible. Actually, we burn Bible. I know. And I know it sounds crazy for a lot of people who've seen me burn my Bible, because I did burn my Bible. But it was one of many, and I continue to burn them everywhere I find them in my house. I burn them. Because we have to vomit out the toxin of colonization. And that means vomiting out everything colonial. That book is poison to the Black nation. It is poison to the Black nation. This is where you find most of the things that keep us in oppression are in that book. Forgive your enemy 70 times, 70 times. Only your enemy can ask you to forgive 70 times, 70 times. What normal person says, somebody is beating you and you just forgive. Only your enemy will tell you that. Only your enemy will tell you that it is wrong for you to want to have material things here on earth. It's okay to be poor. Poverty is a beautiful thing. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Your riches are going to be somewhere in heaven. Meanwhile, they have created a heaven for themselves right here on this planet with your resources and on your continent with everything that is theirs. And then you want to tell me that book is a holy book? I don't think so. Nkanyezi. I could never, I must never, I will never, ever. So, yes, the book called White Poison in Nkanyezi, that is a good. You can also look up Sheikh Anta Diop books where he talks about from civilization to barbarism. He's got several really powerful books that will transform your mind. So you don't have to take my word for it in terms of Bible, but White Poison, Sheikh Anta Diop, go and look those up and have a good read. Ne? Bab Credo Mutwa is another one. If you've never read any of Bab Credo Mutwa's books, go and find Indaba My Children, go and find The Zulu Shaman and read. It will assist you. You are not supposed to use the Bible at all for nothing and nothing and nothing. And White Poison Book Talkers Group was formed. Yes, White Poison will talk about that because, and I teach about it. There are videos on YouTube where I've talked extensively about the source of the Bible. And who is that one of the Nicene, what was it? The Nicene Conference, Constantine, and how that whole nonsense was woven together. Yeah. Let's see. Anyone else with any questions? What do you do if you reach out to ancestors and they to the ancestors? Your ancestors are Bible thumping Christians. How? You mean from the other realm they're trying to feed you the Bible? That's a new one I've not heard. Please come on, Cupid. I really love for you to explain this, because let's explore this for a while. Because my understanding, and from the work that I've done, many ancestors that have come through in readings, having passed on as Christian, are crying that they did not know, are seeking assistance to elevate, are asking their children, i.e., the ones who come to consultation, to help them, are saying they did not know, meaning they found out the truth once they were on the other side. So I then have to do the job of guiding these kids as to what do you do? How do you do an ancestral cleanse and elevation of such an ancestor who died in Christianity? So this one that you're saying they are Bible thumping Christians, are you talking about people who are still alive or they're gone? Because this would be a new one. This would be a first for me. I'm interested to know. So please request and come on and see if we can delve into this. Somebody's like, Gogo, how do I get my ex-boyfriend back? I don't know. Like, why? If he's an ex, then he belongs in the past. Why do you want your ex-boyfriend back? Like, I don't do that kind of work. So I think you've got the wrong Gogo. I'm seriously not going to waste my time giving people. Do you realize we're in a war? We are in a spiritual warfare and you're worried about bringing your ex-boyfriend back. Some of us are worried about the nation and you're worried, hey, you hamba somewhere else, my dear. I mean, I don't work in those ones. Last one, how do we work when one doesn't really know where they belong edlozini? What does that mean? How would you recommend communication with our ancestors? Guys, there is a whole series of 11 videos on YouTube. It's, if you click in the bio, it'll take you directly to my YouTube channel. Otherwise, it's African Spirituality dash Gogonkanyezi Speaks. Go there and watch. You see all your questions about ancestral worship. It's all over on the YouTube. For fear of falling asleep trying to tell you the same thing, please go and watch those. You will get it broken down for you in such a way that, you know what, take a notebook, take a pen, take the notes, then just implement what is in the notes. You should be all right. Chwenga says Gogo's laughter. Hi! Yo, where Chwenga? I will laugh because we are in a war and somebody wants a lost lover. Bring back lost lover. Bafuna ngikhulume mina ngezamathando. Like, this is not the time for mjolo and you know, this love business, which is a scam. Anyway, so hi, Togoza. Who else has questions? Oh, here's Nkanyezi. Nkanyezi, you had a question. Nkanyezi, your question says, how do we work when one doesn't really know where they belong emadlozini? I don't understand your question, Nkanyezi. I don't understand the question. Mom only knows her maternal side and dad is using stepdad's surname, but they don't do spiritual things. Okay, Nkanyezi, this was you continuing. Yo, Nkanyezi, this is not something that's easy to talk about here, hey? Send me a message and I'll give you, I'll be able to read it clearer and get a clearer picture of what you're trying to tell me. I can help you there and then get you on your way. Thokoza, ungubani lo? Nguntumba wakamnguni. Thokoza khehla. Ilikhehla or ngugogo? Angiboni. Thokozeni. I'm trying to see. For God so loved the world, he sends his only son, Jesus. Duncan. Hi, Duncan. Hey, Duncan, thank you to save us from sins. Okay, Duncan, I have heard you. Thank you very much, Duncan, for your contribution to the conversation. Yeah, but we're doing African spirituality, Duncan. We are not doing religion, so I don't know. Someone is like, hello, dear. Duncan, you sound like you're Nigerian. The hello, dear. Are you Nigerian? They're the ones who usually start out by saying hello, dear. I'm not dear. My name is Gogo Nkanyezi or Mkulu Nkanyezi. So I'm not dear at all. Hey, I was on a Bible. You, God so loved the world. Which God? Me, which God? Yes, we need to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. Benjamin Lee, absolutely. That is what we are here to do. Where are you going when you leave this realm of existence? I go to, when I leave this realm of existence, I'm going to my forefathers and my ancestors. That is where I'm going. You believe in heaven and hell, Duncan. Where Duncan? In this day and age, you still you still believe in that fairy tale of a heaven and a hell. That hell is under the ground and heaven is somewhere in the sky. Duncan. Duncan. Duncan, please can you request and come on, Duncan? I'd like to see you. I'd like to see you, my brother. You know me, I love the Black Nation. I hope you are a Black Nation person, Duncan. Where am I from? Duncan, where are you from? First, I asked you first. Where are you from, Duncan? Yeshua is from the Shambhala. It's the Yeshua and Jesus are not the same thing. That is the problem that we have as Black people. We like making inferences. Jesus is a white construct. Yeshua is someone else. Yes, and he was an ascended master. I agree with you. So all these people who are stuck on Bible and Jesus Christ, imagine he's supposed to be a God with a surname, Jesus and Christ. Anyway, good morning, Gogo. We are because our ancestors live in us. Togozin. Only heaven is our ancestral realm. We go back to them. Nakia. Exactly. We go back to them. We go back to Omkulu, Bomkulu. Okulu, Bomkulu. Our ancestors is who we go back to. These ones will tell you we go back to Nkulu, Nkulu. And then they say Nkulu, Nkulu. That adulteration by white people. Nkulu, Nkulu is God. No such thing. Siyago Kulu, Bomkulu. Meaning to our greatest of the great, our ancestors. Not unkulunkulu, nonsense. Let's see. Togoza gogo, Togozin. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions, fam. Does that mean we are not having questions? Somebody here next tone, you are the Christ. Yeah, Christ consciousness. That's a whole totally different conversation. And again, we are dealing African spirituality here. So we are not dealing with those consciousnesses, peoples. Everybody has their own concepts of whatever it is. We are here for African spirituality, which is nature. Nature-based, the Neteru, nature-based. They are trying to derail us. They always do, don't they? They always do, Xwenga. Uyazini. Yo, kwaze kwabhora la. Bayalokhe beza ngento zabo ezingamake sense. Asazi ukuthi bafuna ngithini. Ngabe bayasiyeka tu. It's always the same, right? You try to have a conversation that is an in-house conversation with family, and we always have imposter spirits. They come in to monitor and to impose because it is a genetic programming that they be that way. Abazenzi shame. They don't do themselves. All right, family, I'm not seeing we go back to abomkhulu. Thokoza, nzalo yelanga. Inzalo yelanga, umazisakazi. Are people open to Kemet and African spirituality in South Africa? Absolutely. Absolutely. We learn from the great Bab Credo Mutwa. We learn from Master Teacher Mkhulu Nsingiza. Like the Kemetic family, like literally also understanding what Kemet actually means and what Kemet is, I think has done a lot in opening people's minds towards to the fact that Kemet is black land. So which is the black land? And that Kemet is not limited to what is now known as Egypt. And neither was it limited to what was then known as ancient Kemet. So people's understanding of the fact that all this knowledge that is crystallized in ancient Kemet comes from the inside of the continent. It comes from the south, it comes from the east, the west, and then made its way up north. And actually now we know that the map is upside down. What we call south is actually true north, and what we call north is south. Kuningi. Kuningi. So yes. What is currently known as Northern Kemet, which these others, the colonizer over there calls Egypt, is just a place where everything was crystallized and all the knowledge, it became like a knowledge center, but all the knowledge came from inside. I've talked about that quite a bit. We are a triune being, body, mind, and soul. Yes, we were talking about that just before you came on. Where do you learn all this? I would love to study my South Africans in spiritual roots. Where do I learn all this? That's a very good question. There are some who don't believe in downloads, but yeah, some of us who are spiritual people, we get this information given, but I've also done extensive study over the years. Over 3 decades in the spiritual space. You'd think I might have learned something, right? So yeah. I've been in this space for a long time. I have a feeling our government knows. They know, they've been knowing. It's just that you remember that in South Africa, the government pushes the white agenda. The people who are actually ruling or who run South Africa are not the government. Those are just managers. And the managers of what? They are managers of your anger. The people who really, truly run that country, we know, are Rupert and Oppenheimer and their cabal. So, correct. They've known. The calendar, the African calendar is one thing that they've known about. And it has scared them because the African calendar is one way in which Abantu will realign with who they truly are. And they're terrified of that thing. That is why it has never made it into public mainstream. It's only recently, I think in the last 3 or so years, that now more and more people know about Inzalo Yelanga and that massive calendar. More and more people want to understand better and so on and so forth. But otherwise, yeah, they've been knowing. They've been suppressing it because that calendar is revolutionary. Remember, because who controls your time controls you. And when we say who controls your time controls you, is that even our rituals and how we do things, we have to do it precisely according to that calendar and that time. You know, that calendar marks the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice. Those are 4 major cosmic events. These changes of season, major cosmic events to African people that need to be marked and venerated. And our ancient ancestors had ways of rituals and ceremonies for those particular cardinal points. They're called cardinal points because there are 4 of them, right? So they've known this. They know that once this thing takes root, it's a revolution. people will open their eyes, their spiritual eyes will be open, their minds will be open, and they'll begin to realize just how much harm has been done to us. For example, why are people in the Southern Hemisphere celebrating Christmas in December? That is not our ritual. And for many people, they think it's just a Christian thing. Jesus was born. No, Jesus was not born at Christmas. Go and look up any historic documents to see if there was a Jesus born at that time. So we are misaligned when we are celebrating and doing rituals according to the Gregorian calendar, because it totally messes us up. That is why sigula isizwe sakwantu. The Black nation is not well. The Black nation is not healthy because we've been so far removed from natural rhythms. Yeah, as for Easter, what is that? I've talked a lot about what Easter is. It's there on the YouTube for those who are interested. That's another ritual. Actually, every single month on the Gregorian calendar is in honor of some Roman god or goddess. And most of these Roman gods and goddesses were bloodthirsty, where human sacrifice had to be made. So tell me, as we call January for Janus, right? March for Mars. Mars is the god of war. Like, guys, the misalignment is too much. I did a whole series on the Gregorian calendar if you want to go and listen to each month and what the rituals were for each month. And by us simply following like sheep, we are consenting to this. We are consenting to giving our energy to these entities and deities of theirs. Do you know that Umlungu no longer has to do much ritualing because we do it on their behalf? How many people fill churches at Easter and at Christmas? White people are aware when you guys are doing that. They're busy on the beaches, on vacation, and doing all sorts of things. You are perpetuating their rituals for them. Because although you call on this Jesus and you call on Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac, they don't benefit you. It benefits their children. So what are you doing to yourselves, Black Nation? So there's a lot, family. There's a lot, and I'm so glad that there's so many more people who are waking up. There's so many more people who are really awakening to this. And I know that there's some people who like to, yeah, that's because they're based. So Gregory Glass says Roman gods are based on Greek gods, which are based on Kemetic gods. I beg to differ. Not all of them. Not all of them. We're talking about the Gregorian calendar and those gods that are named within the Gregorian calendar for the calendar name. We as African people are going back to roots. That is why we go back to ancient Kemet. That's why we go back to ancient Africa. We go to pre-colonial times, because anything post-colonization for us is an adulteration and will still mislead us. We have the blueprint. We are the blueprint of how things were done and how things were. I don't see any reason why we need to then go into things that came out of us for what? As the Black nation, how is that going to benefit us except to confuse us the more? The Abrahamic religions have nothing to do with us. We had our own way of doing things pre-colonization. This is where we need to go. So for me, somebody's asking, you see, that's where the problem is. What religion do you follow? I don't follow religion. I'm a spiritualist. I'm an African spiritualist. I am a spirit or a soul having a human experience. I don't need religion. Religion is about control. I don't need external. Look, I don't need an external God to tell me how to be a good person, because I live according to the internal laws of Ma'at. Ma'at is truth, balance, order, ethics, justice, and harmony. So I don't do religion. Yes, people are waking up, Kwengu. You're absolutely correct. And the more people awaken, the better it is for all of us, because, oh, wow. Wow, somebody's like, what type of religion? I'm not in any religion, Nova. I'm not in any religion. Religion is man-made. I'm not in anything that is man-made. Venus says, when was Jesus born? I don't know. Go and ask the white people who wrote the Bible. Well, there are pyramids in Europe, in the New World too. Yes, you know why? Because before everything was Kemet, meaning everything was black land. You can go and do your research to find out the origins of every single other person on this planet. And that will answer your question. Gregory? Yes, Kemet was everywhere. That is us. Kemet was everywhere. Yebo. So yeah, and the whitewashing of a lot of our stuff, I think, is problematic. Have you heard about what's happening in the Grand Canyon currently? Yeah, the Grand Canyon. Yo, the Grand Canyon, apparently there's a lot of smoke. There's a fire there. And guess what is burning? White sage is burning in the Grand Canyon. And we all know what the Grand Canyon is, right? Yeah. So these are phenomena that those who are not spiritual will never understand. But yeah, white sage is burning in the Grand Canyon. We are in interesting times. We're gonna have such an interesting time. Somebody say, Imvana. Me. Oh, Imbuzi is the one that says me. Imvana doesn't. Hey, Imvana. Are you from Ethiopia? Duncan, why are you so interested in where I'm from? Why are you so interested in where I am from when you have not said where you are from, my brother? Where are you from yourself? Me, I'm not from anywhere. I'm an African. I'm a free spirit. Wherever you want to place me on the African continent, feel free to place me. I'm from there. You understand? Trying to confine me geographically is like trying to confine the air. Can you confine the air? The air is everywhere. That is me. I'm everywhere. So wherever you feel comfortable placing me on that continent, that is where I'm from. Yeah. You're bringing in another one. Sirius B, Sirius B, Sirius B, Sirius B. Let me be quiet. I'm talking too much. Where else? Yes, we are all from the stars. We are star seeds. We are not like everybody else. Let us stop there, Larry, Shozi, before we go in too deep. There are no more questions I don't see. All right, family, shall I say Thokozani and call it a night? Or I'm trying to see if other people are coming with questions. Yes, cosmic beings. Yes, we are cosmic beings. You look like my twin, like a twin of my junior brother's wife. Duncan, you want to compartmentalize me. Duncan, you're insisting. Duncan, I am the twin of your junior brother's wife. Are we happy? I am the twin of your junior brother's wife. Go and tell your junior brother's wife that you found her twin. There goes another one. Where are you from? Guys, why? Yeah, you. You make me laugh, Duncan. Duncan, I can sense your energy. You're not hostile. So usually when I feel somebody's energy and I know they're not hostile, I also am very friendly. Yeah, and because you are part of us, you are the Black nation, even though you believe in Jesus. we are one thing as far as I'm concerned. I don't let things like religion and so us divide us, because that's exactly what they want. They want religion to divide us. They want politics to divide us. Those are the two poisons we have in the Black nation: religion and politics. Those are the two key things that they use to keep us separated. Let's not allow them. I will never allow it. Duncan, you are my brother, even though you like Jesus, even though I'm telling you Jesus is a fairy tale. It's okay. You will always be my brother. You hear? And yes, I am from wherever you want me to be, Duncan. I'm always happy when I see my real family. If you know, you know. Nazo! Yeah, Nakia. Yes, yes. It feels good. It feels good. When you are among your own, alignment is everything. You feel the energy. You feel the energy, definitely. So, do you have to change the accent though, Gogo? How quick? I can speak with any accent from anywhere. Which other accent you want me to do for you? I can do them all. I can do all of them. Pick an accent from anywhere. That's why I say you cannot contain me. I'm from everywhere on the continent. Right now, I'm speaking Nigeria. They speak Pidgin. They speak Pidgin well. Plenty Niger people say I be Niger. I tell them I know be Niger. They say na lie, you be Fulani. Ask your mama who your papa be. Can you imagine? It's like that. So if you want another accent, put in there which accent you want. And I'm going to put, speak Igbo. That one is too complicated. I can speak Pidgin, because Pidgin is the great unifier of the whole of the Nigerian land. And I like the way Pidgin take break and scatter the Englishes, because I cannot stand that English language. We have to use it. What we go do? We must use that English so that we can hear each other. So we can understand each other. But otherwise, forget it. Real frequency for African spiritual family. Yes, King Benjamin. Yes, this is what this is about. Omo, they try, go. I they speak, I know they try. I they speak. What is your take on introduction of African spirituality in schools? Yes! Are you kidding me? That is what I live for. That is, you see, this is, Yabo, if I exit this incarnation, by the time I kotama, if that has happened, I will go out to join my ancestors as the happiest being that has ever lived. You don't understand how deep that cuts. Just seeing you write it like that. It's like my cells, my DNA is saying, yes. My take is yes. That is what needed to happen as soon as colonial, as soon as Africa got independence, whichever the first countries to get independent, this was where we needed to have started, is to reintroduce our own ways. But unfortunately, we had captured leaders from the get-go, from the 60s. Majority of them were captured. The ones that were not captured, they took out. Lumumba, they took out. Sankara, they took out. All the progressive ones who knew what we were supposed to do in order for us to heal from the trauma of colonization and to get back into who we were, they took them out. We were left with the sellouts, which I believe are reincarnates from ancient times. They've been selling out over and over, and they keep coming back in new bodies to do the exact same thing. Because when you read texts from ancient Kemet and how we fell, how ancient Kemet fell, and how we were colonized back then, it was sellouts. It was sellouts who didn't know how to protect the house, who had no integrity. So we are witnessing, guys, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that we're seeing, even in the political, it's happened before during other eras and other centuries. There's literally nothing new. That's why I say, all the sellouts are just reincarnates. And the thing is, we are also, some of us, reincarnating, and we are bumping heads again in these new incarnations, because we reincarnate to push forward the work that we started, and they are also pushing forward the agenda that they started. It's a mess. But when you talk about reintroducing African spirituality into schools, you're giving me life. Like I'm sweating. You're giving me life, because that is the ultimate dream, the children. We can do all of this every single day and all we like, but if we could get to the children, we will have secured Africa's future. So we try, and I encourage parents as well who watch me and listen to say, you cannot embark on this journey and this knowledge and not have a way by which you're breaking it down to your children. You need, listen, we need to bring back legacy thinking, which is something that colonization and enslavement robbed us of, because we lived always in survival mode. How do I get from today into tomorrow? So visionary leadership, visionary thinking is envisioning our nation 200 years from now, 150 years from now, 50 years from now, 10 years from now, and seeing how do we get to achieve this 10-year plan, this whatever. They have kept politics the way it is. Every 5 years, there's a new one coming in. When this new person comes in, he brings his own agenda. He says, I have the better philosophy, and it's a whole mess. China knew what they were doing. They had a 50 or 100-year plan, and any elected official who came in had to take up from where the last one left off, but they had this national agenda. Everybody thought they were crazy when they closed borders and they did this for 30 years and shut everybody out. Look how they emerged. They didn't care who called them communist, this, who did this, but look how they have emerged now in the world after doing what they did. Ibrahim Traore is doing the same thing. He's disbanding a lot of colonial structures, right? Kids have to learn to speak their own languages in schools now. The books are being translated into the Burkinabe language so that kids are learning in their own languages. Number 2, school uniform changed from that Victorian French nonsense into African attire. Judges have been made to throw off those stupid white wigs, and they are now dressed in a more dignified manner. Those wigs were so stupid. Like, imagine you are a black man and you have a blonde kutuku on your head like that. He's phasing out, slowly phasing out all that nonsense. We never had prisons, Tina, in ancient Africa. Guess what Traore has done? All the prisoners need to get out of prison, and they go and they work on the roads and. Not this nonsense that prisoners are sitting in prisons, busy trying to scheme where they're going to get their next joint or where they're going to find a cell phone so that they can continue their criminality from the jail. We never had jails because people were self-policing. Look at the Burkinabes now. Right now, it was school holidays. Kids, mothers, grandparents, everybody's on the streets making bricks. They are building their nation. This is their nation. They have national pride and they are building. And what we know has happened in Burkina Faso, it's not politics as usual. And this is what needs to happen across the whole continent. It cannot be politics as usual. So we are the only ones who can cause what needs to happen the same way that the Kenyan kids are fighting now for what needs to happen. And they're not backing down. South Africa, you have a rare opportunity. What do you think that is all about? Look at it from a spiritual perspective. Who is Umkwananzi? So what y'all gonna do about it? Because this revolution is in your hands. I'm just saying. Will you continue drinking savannas and dancing amapiano day in, day out, weekend after weekend, and continue to be distracted? Or are you going to wake up now and say, wait, we have somebody? Let me shut my mouth. Let me tool because I have talked too much. On this note, family, it's 6 o'clock on the African continent, Grand Rising Royals. And some of us this side, we need to be getting ready to rest. Black Nation, one love. We're almost there. We're almost there.